Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry I didn't record last week, but I had some problems with my recording software. But I'm going to be giving you part 6.1, the second half of chapter 8. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Anko said, okay, listen up maggots. I will now explain the rules for this part of the exams. Each team will get 2 scrolls, and the objective is to get another scroll from one of the other teams. But before we hand out the scrolls, you'll have to sign these waivers because there is a high chance of death in this part of the exams. And signing these waivers makes you, and only you, liable for your own death, not Konoha. After all the teams has signed the waivers, Anko said, okay, now let's start handing out the scrolls, and we will call each team up one at a time so nobody knows what scroll the other teams have. As this was happening, Naruto said, well, I got an idea, as he went off by himself and made a clone, and it hinged into a small insect and went into the tent to see what scrolls the other teams had. After all the teams had the scrolls, the hinged clone left and went into the woods and dispersed. As Naruto saw the memories of the clone and went to a random group that had a scroll that he needed and shook the hand and said good luck in there, but he was actually leaving his flying Raijin mark on his hand so that he could get the scroll as soon as the exam starts after 30 seconds. Uncle said, this will be a 5-day exam, so I hope you packed enough food, and if you didn't, there's animals in there that you can hunt, or you can also fish as well. Anyways, it's time to begin. After about 5 minutes, Naruto said, okay, I know where we can get our scroll from. Be back in a sec, as he disappeared in a flash, then appeared in front of the same group that he wished good luck to, as he said, oh, hey guys, sorry, but I guess you don't have any luck, as he knocked them out within a second and collected the scroll that he needed and returned to his group and said, well, let's head to the tower. As they was heading to the tower, Naruto got a signal from one of his marks that he left on someone and said, sorry girls, but somebody needs help, as he flashed away and was in front of Taran and saw her about to get mauled by a huge bear, as he said, not on my watch, as he created a Rasengan and slammed it into the bear and killed it, as he said, you hungry? As she said, actually, yes, as he made a fire and cut the bear up and cooked some of it for her and took the rest for him and his team. After he got back, he said, well, I got dinner, as he said that he told the girls that he sent something ominous and for them to hide and get the food ready for him when he returns, as he dashed off following the sense of dread coming from the forest. When he got to the spot where he was sensing it from, he saw Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai facing off a grass genin, but he was dominating all 3 of them, and Naruto saw the grass genin stretch her neck out and try to bite Sasuke, but Naruto did a round robin flying Raijin on him, and as Naruto said, oh, if it isn't one of the Sannin trying to pick up on another young boy, you damn pedophile. Well, I guess it's time that I finally get my name out there as the one who beat the snake Sannin, as Naruto said, Shadow Clone Jutsu, and then went through hand signs and said, wood style, wood binding jutsu, as a bunch of wood pillars rose from the ground and raced towards Orochimaru, as he thought this genin is quite special. As well, it seems he was a wood style, but unknown to Orochimaru, this was just a distraction, as the original had disappeared and was replaced by a blood clone. Orochimaru came up to the blood clone and said, well, you're pretty good, brat, but I got you now. As in that instant, Orochimaru saw a huge ball of lava heading towards him, and the clone grabbed onto him and embedded his chakra chain in him, not letting him escape, as he said, where do you think you're going? And by the way, I'm just a clone. As the giant lava ball engulfed both the blood clone and Orochimaru, the clone was completely destroyed, but Orochimaru was lying on the ground in complete agony. As Naruto walked over to him, Orochimaru was in complete fear and suddenly used a reverse summoning jutsu, disappearing while saying as he disappeared, "I will be back to get my revenge on you, this village, and that old man soon." Naruto finally returned to his girls as they were just about at the tower, and Naruto saw Kabuto stalking Sasuke and his team from a distance. At that, Naruto appeared behind him and said, "By the way, traitor, I just beat your leader, and you and your team is next." At the same time of him saying this, he made 2 shadow clones, and they appeared behind the team, and all 3 of them beheaded Kabuto and his team. And Naruto said, "Well, that's that." And all that happened in, 20 minutes of the start of this exam. Damn, this is going to be fun. As the girls laughed and said, "Well, we are almost at the tower." At saying this, the tower came into view, and Naruto said, "Well, I guess this phase is done," as he saw the Sand siblings arriving at the same time and said, "Yo, Gar, how's the new seal doing?" Gar said, "Just fine. I can finally get some sleep at night." As both teams said, "Well, I guess we'll see you inside." As Naruto and his group entered, he noticed that now is the time to open the scrolls, and Mito and Utomi both came out of the scrolls and said, "Well, good job getting here so fast. We never doubted you would get here, but not this fast." They all nodded and said, "Well, we were a little tired, so can we get some rest?" Both the older ladies said, "Sure." Then Naruto walked beside Mikoto and said, "Well, it's almost time. Do you still feel that I'm too young?" She said, "Well, a little, but you are strong and great in bed." Naruto said, "Well, I have a way to lessen the age difference. I can de-age you a little." After about another hour, Fu and her team, Yukito and her team, Kurosaki and her team, and Karen and her team arrived. Fu and Karen saw Naruto and ran up to him and said, "Well, I see you finished pretty fast." At that, both Yukito and Kurosaki walked up to his group and said, "Well, I guess you're as good as we thought." Naruto said, "Well, I'll try." And then said, "Well, I'm tired, so I'm going to rest a little and then get something to eat. Talk to you later." 5 hours later, Naruto finally comes out of his room from his rest and sees Hana, Hinabi, Hinata, Kaden, Yukito, Fu, and Kurosaki all talking, and Karen, Yukito, and Kurosaki all blushing as he walked up, and all we heard was, "Wait, he's really that big and good?" As all of his girls said, "Oh yeah." Fu sees him walking up to them and jumps up and into his arms and said, "So you're up and well rested. I hope you're ready for tonight." He said, "Yes." "And are you?" At that, Kurosaki and Karen said, "Well, can we join in also?" Naruto looked at his girls and they nodded their head. "We don't mind, just make us each a blood clone tonight." He nodded and said, "Okay." This next part is a lemon, and since I have not got any attention from y'all saying that y'all want me to do one, I'm still holding off on them. If you want to read it, I will leave my link to my Wattpad in the description so you can read it for yourself. So on to the next part. 4 days later, all the Genin that passed the second phase was standing in an indoor arena in rows, listening to the third Hokage give a speech on the importance of the exams and what they represent, as most of the young Genin was just eager to continue the exams. As one of the proctors tapped the third on his back and whispered something in his ear, as the Hokage nodded, and the proctor said, "Well, since there are so many of you that passed the second phase, we will be holding a preliminary tournament because the last phase of the exams, and if anybody wishes to forfeit, you can do so now." As nobody raised their hands, the proctor said, "Okay, so how this is going to work, look at the screen," pointing to the monitor. "We'll pick two names at random, and the winner will advance to the finals match. We will be as they all look to the screen, and if Sasuke versus a random grass ninja, Sasuke dominated the match. As the proctor said, Sasuke Uchiha wins. Next match. This went on until Sakura Haruno versus Hinata Hyuga. This was a one-sided match, with Hinata finally showing off her excellent taijutsu in front of everyone, and Sakura stood no chance against her. As Hinata walked up the stairs and gave Naruto a hug and a kiss, and he said good job, and also good job holding back on her, as Hinata nodded. As the proctor said, next match, Kiba Inazaka and Hana Inazaka, as Hana just smiled and said, well, little bro, this will be fun. As Kiba walked down to the arena, as Hana jumped down to the arena and activated the seal on her hands, Kiba noticed that she had new weapons and said, when did you get those? As Hana said, well, I had Naruto make them for me. These fit better with my current style of taijutsu, and they have some added features. As Hana told her dog companion to stay back, and she will take care of this by herself. As a partner back in agreement, as Hana said, Shadow Clone Jutsu. As Kiba said, let me guess, Naruto taught you that? Hana said yes, but I can only do about 3 at a time for now, but that will be more than enough to beat you, little brother. As she said, activate, and her gauntlets fingers had blades like extremities extending, and Kiba had a sweat drop off of his head and said, what are you trying to kill me? Hana said no, but I am trying to win. As the proctor said, begin. As Hana and her clone said, fang over fang, and slammed into Kiba. A second after the match had started, as the attack ended, Kiba had light cuts all over his body and was cratered into the floor. As the proctor said, winner, Hana Inazaka. Next match is Ino Yamanaka and Naruto Uzumaki. As most of the Rookie 11 that didn't know Naruto's true strength said this would be an easy win for Ino, as she looked worried, as one that knew how strong he was, thinking, I hope that she comes out of this alive. As the proctor said, begin. Naruto said, I will give you 2 minutes to prove yourself to me, then I will win this match. As Ino said, fine, as she said, mind transfer jutsu. As her body went limp and she was in Naruto's mind, but what she saw surprised her. She saw a man and a woman sitting down in a green field with a young girl with alabaster skin, white hair, white fox ears, and 9 white tails. As Kurama said, so you finally got here. You did well to get in here with that jutsu, but I got some questions for you, and these two will test your strength. After about 3 minutes, she returned to her real body, and Naruto smiled and said, well, you passed, as he disappeared and chopped her neck, making her pass out, but she had a huge smile on her face. The proctor said, winner, Naruto Uzumaki. The next match will be Neji Hyuga versus Hinabi Hyuga. As they both walked down to the arena, Hinabi said, well, good luck on the match, cousin. As Neji had a wicked smile on his face, as the proctor said, begin. As Neji said, this is perfect. Now I can show everyone how weak the main branch is by demolishing their heir and humiliating you in front of your so-called future husband. But in a split second, after he finished saying this, Hinabi disappeared and hit Negi's main chakra point at his heart with a seal and said, life seal, and he fell on the ground out cold. As she said, well, that was that you were saying about the main house being weak, although I don't agree with how the main house treats the branch house. I would not have you belittling me in front of my father, sister, and Naruto. As the proctor said, winner of this match is Hinabi Hyuga. And all the rest of the matches went mostly the same, with the exception of Gar versus Lee. Gar still won, but Lee wasn't critically injured. after the match, and they both shook hands and promised to spar again. And Fu, Kurisachi, and Yuchito all won their matches against a random fodder ninja. After all the matches was over, the Hokage said everyone will now have 1 month to train for the finals, but until then, come up with some new jutsu and tactics because all the ones that you have used until now won't work anymore because they have been seen and can be countered by your opponents. Dismissed. And that would be all for today. Next week, I will try to get out chapter 9. So, I hope you all enjoyed, and this was Forbidden, signing out.